Thank you for visiting the channel. So let's talk about auras. What is an aura? Um, if you've lived with seizure disorder or epilepsy for quite a while, then you probably know, and actually, if you probably know what an aura is. And basically, an aura is like a free feeling that a person that experiences seizures get before a seizure can manifest in itself. Sometimes people describe it as deja vu. It can be laughter, fear, just something feeling odd or off. Sometimes people smell things. Um, and my son, he didn't really start experiencing them until his birthday. And unfortunately, with epilepsy, sometimes even good stressors can trigger a seizure. So his triggers were said to have been triggers that can lead to a seizure for my son can be sleep deprivation, stress, illness, um, things like that. And so on his birthday, when we were driving to his co-op, and that's for you know a place where homeschoolers hang out and things like that with other homeschoolers. Sometimes they do academics, classes, social things. So we were on our way to there, and he almost put his hand up like that, like he was trying to push a fly or a bug away. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And I didn't see anything. And he says, "I don't know. I'm scared." And so I pulled over. I mean, I remained calm, surprisingly. I was already in the right lane, so I pulled over and just drove slow. And after about 20 seconds to 40 seconds, he was okay. And I said, "Well, I can get off at the next exit." We were on a highway. He says, "No, I'm okay." So that he said that that's how he felt before his last seizure that he had at that point 10 months prior. So um, I asked him, "Do you think you're excited because it's your birthday?" He also had an upcoming teen trip. Every year his homeschool group goes away for a week to different places. 2 years before it was Kalahari. The year prior to that it was at the facilitator's home, and then they did local trips like Great Wolf Lodge and everything. And this year it was going to be at Myrtle Beach, and it was only a few days away. So I said to him, "Are you sure? Maybe you're overexcited about that." We just didn't know. And the scary thing about auras, sometimes they can, most times they're standalone. They can be referred to as um, petite mal seizures, mini seizures. They are in and of itself a type of seizure. They are like mini seizures, if you will. And then, but like I said, lost my train of thought. He he said the only other time he felt that way was 10 months prior. Like he told me he gets this weird feeling right across his eyes, like he right in the center of his, the base of his eyes, his eyebrows. But anyway, so, but it's like I said, the scary thing about auras, they can be standalone most of the time. Sometimes they can lead up to a larger seizure. So basically, that particular day, I just hung around, which I tend to do anyway. I'll do things to keep busy while he's in his co-op with his friends. But this particular day, I let my husband know what was going on. My grown son, I told the facilitator of the co-op, so she was aware, and she has the emergency med there as well. I always carry one on me when we're driving. It never manifested into anything, but unfortunately, he had a couple of more. Let me think. This was May 1st. He had one or two more like days later. Not quite the filling in the base of his eyebrows, but just feeling off. So, and then he would smell things that I didn't smell. He would hear things that I didn't hear. Like I know we have a rock quarry place near us. Sometimes they do blasting and things like that. And so sometimes I don't always hear it, but I know a couple of times he was like, "Did you hear that?" Shortly after, and I'm like, "No, I don't hear anything." Or sometimes he would smell things that I didn't smell, which is very common with people with epilepsy. This almost enhances their senses. And so I mentioned to his neurologist, and of course, about 5 days before his teen trip, we're around the week of May 20th now. She went on ahead and upped his Keppra. She said for his particular weight and age, he was on the lowest dose to begin with. And I guess they don't want to start them real high or load them up if they don't think it's needed. So they went on ahead and increased it to 750 mg twice a day from the 500 twice a day he was taking. And he takes B6 as well as multivitamins and Claritin for his allergies. But she went on ahead and did that, and she said if he still continued to have auras even after the increase, then they will probably do another EEG, a longer one. They do have some they can do at home. She says the only advantage to doing them at home versus the hospital, at the hospital, if you go to the EMU unit, the epilepsy monitoring unit, many times you get the results right away, versus at home it takes like a week to 2 weeks. So that depends on your situation. But yes, in a nutshell, that's what an aura is. And unfortunately, yeah, I've done some research and read some people that say it's just a common occurrence for them, even on their seizure medication. If anything, I was reassured that maybe the Keppra was doing its job since it didn't manifest into a full-fledged seizure. But yes, that's his experience with auras. Thank you.